If you enjoy truthful and heartfelt conversations to inspire you to become a better version of yourself, empowering stories will help you. Hello, Dr. Bindu. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited that I have this nervous laughter. I was telling Dr. Bindu before we started recording that I was feeling so excited. I was transported back to the days when I was a teenager and I was very excited about, I don't know, going to a concert or something like that, or meeting some pop star. That's how I feel, because this woman in front of us is so powerful, so empowered, so humble, so she has such a good heart. It's just amazing. The few minutes that we've talked already, she's made me feel just like her, just an equal, just another human being in front of her. And for that, Dr. Bindu, I'm so grateful. Thank you very much.
Oh my gosh, thank you. That's so beautiful. I mean, we're all one, we all have our life purpose, we all have our paths, and I'm honored. I'm honored to be here. Very
Thank you
good.
so much. Thank you. Dr. Bindu's CV is so long that we wouldn't be talking about anything else if I read all her accomplishments. So, just a few highlights. I would say that, as you can see on LinkedIn, she's the New York's Powerful Woman in Business 2019 awardee, Forbes Business Council member, an author, a Global Goodwill Ambassador. I absolutely love that. An international speaker, an integrative physician, which is something I absolutely love, an award-winning quantum life coach. And I got to know her through the feminine wave of change. Thank you, Ingun, as well, for putting this beautiful woman in my path. And she's an expert in narcissism and abusive toxicity relationships. There are so many things that she can tell us about empowerment that I'll just give you, Dr. Bean, to the microphone, and you tell us whatever you want to tell or whatever you want to share from your heart.
No, I appreciate that. What a warm welcome, Anna. I'm very happy and proud to be here. And as you said, it's not so much about what levels of a hierarchy we reached in our career or how much we put in. It's how we touch in the heart and who we help heal and empower that matters. So, yeah, the niche for me a little bit more for women, because I'm a woman and I can relate and we can relate. But it's not just women; it's men. It's anybody who needs healing or standing of overcoming limiting beliefs and understanding that you are powerful when you have the power of yourself, your inner being, who you are, connecting to mind, body, and spirit. So when we understand all these different aspects of life, what our purpose here is, and what we're doing, and knowing that we as a person or each one of us are individually gifted with our own purpose. There's no competition, there's no issues. It's just about being one, and understanding that strength alone is going to empower you to your higher self, what your life purpose is, where you're supposed to be, the life you desire. So, I mean, this is what I do. I sit down and I try to impact people across the world, globally, from leaders to anyone who is in need, who are going through dysfunction, or who's going through hurts, who's going through pains, or people who just feel stuck in their lives in whatever level of career they are in. It's overcoming our mindset into the individual we are, to know that we can have anything we want in our life. We just have to empower ourselves. If that makes any sense, Anna.
Oh my God, so much, so much. I wrote down the no competition. If we go into ourselves and we are who we are without any masks, there's no competition. And that's just mind blowing, even though it might seem a very simple concept. It's absolutely mind blowing, because that moment you just forget, oh, this person is doing this already. So where am I going? I'm going to become his or her competitor. But as you say, looking at the world in such terms of, I have my own power if I become myself. It's so freeing, isn't it?
It absolutely is because it's freeing and it's sheer confidence. It's sheer confidence of who you are and acceptance. We all have certain gifts, and those gifts are for us to flourish in, to be passionate about, and whatever we're supposed to be using those gifts for, and accepting the fact that sometimes what somebody else has, you may not have, and that's okay. That's okay because you have something that's so unique and beautiful that's why you touch other people's lives for that purpose. That's why you're there, not to follow others. you know Learning from others is different, but becoming a follower and feeling dejected that, hey, this person is doing this better than me, or can articulate better here, or has intuitive ability to pick up things. Sure, they do, but you may have something that's so powerful for you, and that's what's going to make you flourish. So, where's the competition, right? Where's the
Yes.
competition? What's the need of a competition? In my field, especially, there's so many female speakers, so many authors, many people on boards of NGOs, and there's no point of being intimidated by each other. You kind of look at each other as sisters, and bringing in your power to accentuate that person and vice versa to build something bigger and better. Not, well, I need to be, hold back here because that person may take my thunder. Or there's no thunder. It's your thunder is already you. You are the thunder, right? And so there's no need for you to be more thunderous than somebody else. Thunder is pretty powerful, right? It's pretty strong. And each thunder that comes out into the, sky is different and unique, right? They don't all sound the same. They all have different impacts. Some hit the trees. I mean, that's more of an electricity, but lightning. But it's being who you are, finding your passion, loving that passion, and loving yourself, and moving forward. And that's the power of you, right?
Yes. Is it okay if I ask you, how do you find that passion? How do you connect with who you were? How do you know?
Meditation, hands down. Hands down is meditation. That's why when I work with people individually, women or men, it's always 1 hour of reprogramming the mindset to understand what your limiting beliefs are and to overcome it. And then it's 20 minutes, no matter what, of guided meditation and Reiki, no matter what. Healing yourself within, connecting to your inner being, understanding infinite wisdom that you receive from that. There's so much healing that you can only do for yourself. And meditation is where you really hit into who you are and tap into infinite wisdom.
And that has effects both in the body and in the mind and in the outside world. What's your experience of that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's science behind it. When I speak in psychiatry conferences, I have a whole chart of, how the brain affected by meditation, and actually gray matter actually regrowing. And, there's so much physical change in meditation as it is. And now we're talking about spiritual and mindfulness, you know, living in this moment instead of living for the fear of tomorrow. You're not living if you're thinking about tomorrow. You have to live today. And you learn that through meditation. You connect to your inner being and you feel at peace and you feel in control of who you are. If you don't have control of who you are, how can you control anybody else or anything else in life? Right? You have to
Yes,
be strong enough to
absolutely.
sit here and
Yeah.
say, I have the power of me. And that's what that's the most important thing. You hear people who lose their temper. Sure, we can lose our temper because our temper masks our inner hurts and fears, right? It's our way of showing a false sense of confidence. But if you meditate and you get into yourself, you will see and understand things before you react, because you gain the power of self and you heal.
Yeah.
So then you won't have the road rage that people have, or the anger or the temper, or you've connected to your consciousness. And when you connect it to your consciousness, you will look at life differently. Your vision is different. The lens that you have now is so immaculate in comparison of prior to meditation. You feel happy.
Yeah.
You feel happy. You feel peaceful. You feel like you're doing something good because you can tap into consciousness. You understand there's a lot more in the world. Um, Many have asked so many issues. Like if I have clients who are trying to, younger clients, let's say, and they said, I'm 30 years old. I didn't meet the partner that I wanted in my life. I'm still not married. So I don't have my kids yet. I didn't get the house. And I sit there and I look at them. I said, so let me ask you a small question. Once you do find the partner at the age of 30, and then let's say 2 years later, you have your child, or let's say 2 years after that, you buy your home, then what? 10 years later or 20 years later, you drop dead, so you're accomplished? Is that what is you think life is really that? You're supposed to be born, get educated, get married, have kids, buy a house, and die?
When you put
I
it
don't know.
that way, it's a bit
It sounds so
ridiculous.
sketchy. That's sketchy. I mean, those are plans that man have made, which is important to cultivate some sort of structure or goal of what life can be. But that's not your ultimate final goal of accomplishment and success. Success is in here. You can have all of that and still feel empty and not feel happy and become bitter, because you're dependent on validation of all these things and others to make you happy. Your validation has to be you. And that's the most important thing. And accepting who you are for what you have. And there's no time limit at all. Those are just man-made things in your head. The universe is in the palm of your hand. It's within you. You can accomplish anything. But it's all in here. It's all in here. If you feel happy and you program your mindset with gratitude, love, happiness, care, even the toxic situations that you might have been exposed, you will look at it differently. This is life.
Yes, indeed. It's comparing ourselves with those standards and models that we think that we should take.
Check marks.
Yeah, check marks. They cannot.
How
They
stressful.
cannot. Yeah, it's just pure stress.
It was stressful, and I'll go on a small topic in regarding that. When there are people who, get married, let's say, right? And they're in a horrific relationship, I'm not an advocate of divorce. I'm absolutely not, because you made a vow in front of God, universe, and you made a commitment to each other. So you have to work things through. But I'm not a person who sits there and says, if you're getting emotionally and physically abused and disrespected, you should not stay in that. Absolutely not. You don't deserve that. And that person must be having some sort of baggage or issues in their life that have caused them to be that way. So their fault is on their own. It doesn't mean you need to carry the burden of such abuse. So in that sense, yes, you need to grab your life and live and move on and let go. But what happens when you're trying to do that? Let's say you're married. You have the whole check mark. Well, now I'm going to lose the house, the, the nuclear family of what is expected by society. My friends are going to look down on me. Now I'm considered a divorcee. People tell me my kids are going to go into the wrong path because we don't have a father figure in the household, or vice versa, mother figure for those men who go through this. And then finances is difficult. Um, who's going to take care of the kids when I go? There's so much plethora of issues, of expectation. What will the school think? What would the other parents think? What would my coworkers think? What would people in the higher positions in career think of me now? Will I get demoted? Will I get judged? So people stay in these relationships. So and it's sad because they stay in these relationships and they go on and they get older and then they realize maybe they should have taken a different path and not lived my life based on everyone else. Our children will grow up and move on in their lives. That's just normal. Children are learning lessons for you. We're not owners of kids. We don't own our kids. We're not supposed to have kids on expectation, and they're supposed to take care of us, or they're supposed to be extremely accomplished so I can tell people. And your children are your life lessons of being able to give selflessly, to love unconditionally, and giving them the tools that we know best, because it's only what we know that we can teach the best that we can, to give them a foundation for them to set off, right? Like the birds with the nest. You feed them, take care of them till they jump off and learn to fly. You give them the foundation, and that's it. So if you're in a toxic relationship and you let the children go, you're alone, isn't it?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I also think that the lesson for the kids of a marriage that doesn't work well, what they're getting is, well, my mother or my father, they didn't love it themselves enough to let this go. They didn't show us to respect ourselves because they didn't do it. So that's what they would learn, right? They would have more chances of repeating the history again. That's my view.
Absolutely. And many don't realize that because you have so many people who will tell you otherwise, or will tell you, even family members, oh, don't get divorced. We don't have divorce in our family. You'd be the first divorcee. It would make us look bad. There's so many cultural concepts and stigmas that are there that really pulls people down. And what's interesting it's not just a specific culture, all cultures. You would think maybe it's just an Indian culture, or maybe it's an Irish culture, or maybe it's just the Spanish culture or the Hispanic. They all have the same sentiments. So it's interesting how everybody knows this is not a great thing, but yet they still follow through in the same manner. Yeah, and that's not empowering. Not at all.
No, it is. But it's a way of feeling accepted within the group by not sticking out, by not doing things differently. So each individual gets disempowered.
I'm going to ask you a question. Why? Why do you think so? Just curious. Why do you think so? Why do you think people follow
this? I must say, Dr. Bindu, that I am separated myself.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put your private life into it. Yeah.
No, it's okay. And there was not any abusive relationship between us at all. But the reason why we split apart, it was because we both wanted an excellent relationship, not just a fine relationship. And I thought, what do I want to teach my kids by example? And I wanted to teach them that I valued myself enough to seek to look for an excellent relationship, and so did your dad. We have a very good relationship nowadays. We talk every week. We spend the summers together. I have a partner. He has a partner. Our kids are fantastically. Now they have more people in their lives.
That's beautiful.
I went through those questions. What's the family going to think? I'm separated now. I made some vows. I don't want to become a separated person. I swore that I would love this man and I would stick with him forever. Financially, it could be struggles, business, everything you said, I went through. and I put it in my diary that now I've published. But then I decided I'm not going to tell anyone. I'm just going to focus on the kids and my ex, just the four of us, that nucleus there, and that's it. And everybody else is going to be secondary. So that's how I went through it.
Yeah.
Just not giving them the power of saying anything, or not giving them any saying on it.
And that's because you love yourself enough to do it. That's
And
that's
my kids,
our
that was
kids
the
too.
leverage.
Sure, our strength of our kids, making sure
Yeah,
we give them lessons. That's also very empowering, and it's a great decision. But there's also a part of you that loved yourself enough to be that strong, to make
mm,
sure that you put people in their place, not to upset you. So, because there are
yeah,
people, who can't, even if they love their kids, they just can't. They're so hurt
yeah,
inside, or they don't appreciate the person who they are or accept themselves for who they are. Even if they love their kids to bits, they can't move. They are just too preoccupied of what is the neighbors going to think about me now. They're going to think that I didn't
yeah,
hold it together for my family. You understand? Or they're going to tell my kids something, or there's so much different ways and avenue, and they just can't get the strength within themselves to look past the need of validation of others, which equates to the lack of self-love.
yeah.
So, and the reason I said that to you was not too long ago. I mean, to be honest with you, this was very recent for me. I've been on many interviews, and I always say, people ask me, well, how did you do this? Like, you had four kids. After I left, I did my PhD, and they said, what made you leave that toxic relationship? How could you? Like, I didn't even have finance. It was very bad when I walked out. I had nothing, and family went against me. Society went against me. It was terrible, actually. And
Wow.
I used to say, well, I did it because of my kids. I wish I can say I was such a brave person, and I was so strong that I went through and charged ahead like a bull. No, I always said, thank God for my kids, because I loved them so much that I put them first, that I pushed out. And then I learned through my experiences with my clients, meditation, all these different things, that I said, no, sure, that was
It
a
was your
priority. It was a factor, but I really inside deserved better. And I believed it.
exactly.
I believed it. And I loved myself to know that I deserved better. Because a lot of women can't see through that tunnel to believe that they deserve better. A lot of them who are in toxic relationships believe this is all they can get. And they're lucky to have this person because they don't deserve better.
Hmm.
And there was a part of me that felt strong that no, I deserve better. And I pushed through with the strength of my kids and my beliefs and my love. Like, it was a combination of everything. So it's the same thing for you.
Yeah,
When you're saying that, and I'm
yeah.
going to tell you, no, there was a part of you that felt you deserved a different and better life.
Oh, I completely agree. That's what I wanted, excellence. I
Yeah,
wanted excellence for me.
yeah, yeah. And you deserve excellence. So
Exactly.
yeah, and it's important, especially with this conversation that we're talking, that women can see that, you know, um, women understand that it's really the power within, not the exterior, that matters. You are deserving, and you are beautiful, and we have one life that was granted to you. It was a gift from the universe. You know,
Mm.
ride that life through. To your ultimate best that you want. Visualize it in your head and put it out there into the universe and manifest it.
The fear comes from what's going to happen in the future. But sisters, listen to us. Once you go into the future, it's not so bad as we thought it was. isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah. It's always everybody, whether it's relationship, business, education, life. People are always scared of the unknown, right? Fear of failure, fear of not accomplishing what you want if you made this avenue. So you rather stick to what you know. But that's what you should use as your driving force. If you look at what you know and it's not working, your only chance is jumping for something better. That's it. It's
Yeah.
simple as that. It's understanding that this is the way life is, and you got to try, right? You won't know till you try. And if you stumble a couple of times, so what? Just pick yourself up and keep going. I always talk about Abraham Lincoln. I don't know. Are you familiar with that president?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Abraham Lincoln, he abolished slavery. Um, and I don't quote me. I think 16th president of the United States. I'm not sure, but he ran for office like so many times. He ran for like he was maybe a
Many.
district leader, maybe a mayor, senate. He lost all of them. In between, he had a mental breakdown. The love of his life died. His business he started failed. There is a series of failures that this man went through. Maybe one of them worked. And then finally, he ran for president and he won to be the president of the United States. And not only won, he made such significant changes for the people in this country compared to most presidents. So we don't know what our life purpose is,
Yeah.
but you got to keep trying. It's going to happen.
Failure is, in my opinion, now, it's just perception. It's not failure. Did I fail in my marriage? No, it was perfect until it was necessary for us to grow. Marriage is a human construct as well. Who said that we had to be together forever and ever? That's human. That's
Absolutely.
not in our hearts. We're still together. It's just we're not living together. We have other partners, but we're still together. We have those kids together. Maybe the universe put us together to be the environment for our kids to become who they are now. But why is that a failure?
No, I agree, 100%. It's when I go somewhere and someone asks me, what's your status? And I'm like, oh, I'm divorced. Oh, I'm so sorry. And I said, no, 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 don't be sorry. Don't be sorry at all. I'm happy that it happened. I'm glad because it was something that needed to happen to change my life to the better. you know I'm not sitting here, oh, it's a
Yeah.
divorce, let's celebrate. Of course there's bitterness and hurt involved in things and expectations that wasn't met.
Yeah.
That expectations, again, the word, you know but it is your growth, and it's great.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad at all, and there's nothing, no condolences there.
No, look where you are. You wouldn't be there hadn't you had that experience. Not
Yeah.
at all.
Yes.
Not at all.
I wouldn't understand what the feelings are, and know what a person goes through. I am an empath, but I just thought I never understood that. I was very scientific, and I downplayed any intuition or any feelings. I just looked at it as luck, and
Mm.
the definitely the crown chakra was not open, and I grew from that so much and understand, um, from my relationships, from failures, from hardships, and understandings. Where today I've dedicated my life in helping others, because I wouldn't want anyone to feel what I felt. It was terrible. Especially narcissism and toxic relationships. At that time there was nothing out there. There was no information. There was no understanding. I had to pull teeth to get my dissertation done because there weren't enough information. Um, but now,
Mm.
anyway, you type in narcissism, you got 5,000 things coming. So yeah, it's a learning process.
It is. It is indeed. something that I love, and I really want to thank you for that, is for putting together the allopathic, the well-known or Western medicine, if you want to call it that way, and talking about chakras, talking about intuition, talking about meditation, because that's healing. That's just healing the planet. It doesn't have to be us and them, or that people and those doctors and the woo-woo ones.
Right.
We are all one, and we all have all that,
Right.
whether we or whether we appreciate it or not, whether we agree with it or not. So thank you for doing that, because that takes a lot. I mean, you need to be brave to stand up and say that.
Yeah, it's interesting because I wanted to heal. I wanted to heal myself, and I didn't understand how to. When you're in a toxic really or anything that's life debilitating hurt that comes into your life, the medications you have in allopathic medicine, the Xanax and all these different uh, other medicines like antidepressants and anti-anxieties and these classes of medications, they're great to assist your symptoms, to alleviate your symptoms, but it doesn't solve your problem. It doesn't heal you. So that means you're taking medication, but then you still have to do your work, you know so and then when you have people who are completely naturopath, and this is my opinion, I think it's great, but you need a little bit of both in some ways and forms to help people, because each and every one of us are very individualistic in our mindset and thought process, and I'm talking about mental health. you know um, do we have the ability to heal ourselves? Absolutely. Do we need all allopathic medicine? Well, probably not. But we're all different people, and we have all different belief structures, and your belief structure is what heals you. That's why most medications are tested, the drug companies test it with placebo effect. Are you familiar with the placebo effect?
Oh, so much, so much. And Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton.
Yeah.
And I was married to a doctor for 20 years. So I know both sides.
Yeah, Dr. Bruce Lipton is amazing. He was my professor, and then later I became a colleague with him in Quantum University, and I'm telling you that it was so life changing to understand epigenetics, to understand our mindset can heal our cells and our bodies, and the whole phenomena of behind it is amazing. So the placebo effect is that. And just to recap really quick, because your listeners, about a placebo effect is basically if I put 5 people on a blood pressure medication and I put 5 people on a sugar pill stating that this is a blood pressure medicine, you will see the 5 people on the sugar pill also heal and their blood pressure is in control. Maybe one or two of them may not, but lots of times it's because they don't believe in medicine, period. But the question here is, how come the sugar pill, yeah, how come does the sugar pill heal? Like, how come your blood pressure is controlled? And this is a scientific study that almost every drug company uses for their testing skills, for their medication. And why? Because our mind has the ability to heal. It's our belief structure, and epigenetics goes further into it. Um, Dr. Bruce Lipton has done phenomenal. I mean, he's just an amazing man, my mentor, where he's done so much work and study of showing how we can heal ourselves through ourselves, our DNAs and so forth. But it's interesting.
Yeah. Plus, he's such a beautiful person, human being, close, and as a speaker, he's amazing. Amazing. I had the pleasure to see him a few times. Oh my God, he's just amazing. Yeah. Amazing and huggable as well. So huggable.
He is. He's such a he really is amazing. He's again connected to mind, body, spirit through meditation and the power of himself, power of you.
He was sharing how it had been quite hard for him to go through the process of seeing the things that he was seeing and experiencing with all those cells he had in different cultures. And because they were in different cultures, different media, different environment, those cells were turning into different tissues. And also saying that everything was not in the DNA, but it was the membrane. All all that kind of information that was very disruptive, perhaps, into the medical profession. And he had a very hard time because his colleagues didn't want to hear about that. And for him, it was hard.
They use epigenetics in a scientific field now in a lot of universities of the study, but not based on quantum theory. They've denounced quantum theory, even though it's pretty obvious. It's hard. It's hard for people to believe in the unknown, and they try to. It will abolish a lot of things too. I mean, we have a whole pharmaceutical industry that makes money off of us, so there's a lot of propaganda. But this comes down to us understanding who we are and finding our solutions. If we can speak instead of following just through blindly, understand and trust our intuition, it would be a completely different story.
I'm thinking of elephants that when they're sick, they know what plants they need to eat in order to get better.
Oh yeah. Oh, and even the elephant graveyard, how interesting. They exactly know where to go to pass. They know when they're passing. They go to the same place they pass. It's very interesting because that has a lot to do with energy, intuition, connection to the universe, the earth, our ancestors. There's a lot of spiritual energy, and animals can sense that more because they are more open as opposed to us. We're more about the physical.
If you were asked, how long do you think our bodies can live? What would be your answer?
Oh my gosh, that's a hard question. How long can our bodies live? It's all about our mindset. It's very difficult for me to answer that question because it is about, history says we can preserve our body for a very long time if our mindset is clear and our environment that we allow. But in today's environment, all the exposure, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be able to answer that because we are living in a different world. Spirituality is not accepted unless it's in a constricted form. People don't have the open-mindedness of compassion for others. A lot of people, especially now, as people are more self-centered, and that energy is around you as well. No matter how much you try to block.
So, we are not an isolated system.
Right. Unless, you, as most people say, you can move to Costa Rica. I heard there's beautiful places there where people have, made their own tribes, live in their own peace. I've seen some interesting villages and places that people have come all over the world and have made their own tribes. And live in their own farming land and sustain themselves in their own way with making man-made electricity and foods, and it's interesting. But when you're talking about the physical world of what we're living in, it's very difficult.
And do you think that we die? Not our bodies. I'm not talking about our bodies passing. Do you think that we die?
Our spirits are no, absolutely not. I'm a past life regression therapist.
I know, but I wanted you to bring it up. I'm convinced, I'm absolutely convinced that the spirit moves on, that our consciousness goes through different lives, probably different bodies, probably different planets even. I have that. I'm very convinced. As a scientist, I cannot prove it, but I'm very convinced. But I wanted you to say it.
Okay, yes, no, see, as a scientist, this is the thing, as a scientist, it's very difficult to prove or say a lot of these things. That's why, and this is why I enforce meditation, because when you do meditation is when you open yourself with your own understanding of the universe and inner being. Then you start your journey. And I love that. I used to do these group guided meditations, just like a coupon type of thing years ago. And I can only take up to 6 people at one time because I do the Reiki and the healing as well. And I do the meditation and I pick up their energy. And I usually tell them something after their class, like, I don't know what this means, but this is what I feel. And they relate and they grow. And it's so beautiful to see them going in their spiritual path, right? And that's when they start discovering on your own. This is not, spirituality is not something you convince or write a paper or teach. They have to feel it in here. And then we are teachers and healers to help them go through their process of journey, and vice versa. I still learn something new every day. And when I started this, when I did my PhD, and before I did my PhD and before I did my doctorate, I started doing Reiki. And when I became a Reiki master was when I read the book Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Brian Weiss. And that changed my world, because I always knew it, but I didn't want to believe it at all. At all. And now this was another medical physician, uh, Yale graduate, Columbia Medical School. We're not talking about, mom and pop, you know, local colleges or something. These are people who really worked hard in their career to get there and maybe had, whatever it is. And
Yeah.
I said, oh my gosh, I don't feel like I'm the only one who's feeling all these weird things and I don't understand, but I keep pushing. So I chased him. I went after him and I started doing workshops, and I finally got into his past life regression program. And I learned how to do past lives with him. And because I connected to other people's past lives and I connected to my past lives, and I believe our soul is here for a learning purpose. And we're going to keep going through this till we learn our life lesson. So no, I don't think we die. I think we all have our tribe and we all connect with each other in one way or one form. In fact, as soon as I sat down, when we first started this conversation, the first thing I got was, we're past lives. I didn't say it because I didn't want to scare you, but I was like, I'm like, oh, you're right. Like connections. My tribe. Some bro tribe is there. And that's what I felt. And then I didn't want to say, hey, because a lot of people don't understand this realm, or maybe haven't reached to that point of understanding. But yeah, it's so beautiful. Honestly, it's so beautiful. It's so much gratitude.
Yeah. I'm laughing because I was going to say that the lifetime that we had together was the one in Egypt.
Oh, really?
That's the strong feeling that I have. I have glimpses of 3 past lives, and one of them was in Egypt. And that's what I've been having in my mind or in my heart ever since we started talking. So it's just amazing.
Yeah, I felt that when we sat down and said, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah. Another one, I was a healer and I was a druid, apparently. And it's not just me having flashbacks, which I had, it was also other people telling me the same thing. Different people in different places telling me, oh, you were a druid before. Oh, I was in your tribe when you were a druid. It's me going to the wax museum in Ireland and seeing my family there in wax and they were druids. It's that kind of thing. So perhaps then we were also together because we were healers as druids.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking when we started our conversation. I was like, when you were telling me a little bit about yourself and how you came into these interviewings, and I was like, because you're a healer and it's coming out now. That was what was in my mind, or what I got intuitively. Like I said, I just didn't say it because I didn't want to scare you. I wasn't how familiar or how open you are about your spirituality. So like I said, everybody has to go through their journey. So I don't sit there and impose. A lot of people try to impose certain things, and that doesn't work. That's not useful. That's not helpful.
No, it doesn't.
You're stunting somebody's growth.
And I think that's why I was feeling a bit anxious because, the pop star was somebody from my past, somebody from my family. a sister or a mother or an aunt or somebody from my family. That's what I was feeling. But I didn't want to say that to, I mean, it was a bit weird to begin with. I mean, your curriculum is impressive, but that's not, normally that doesn't impress me that much. I'm amazed at everything you've achieved, but that's something doable. What really captures my attention is what people do with their hearts, how far people go following their call, helping others, making a difference in the world. That really makes me, you see, look up. Academical stuff, impressive, but it doesn't have the same impact. That's just what it is.
No, and I agree. I thank you. I appreciate that. I think one of the reasons I even went so deep in the academic stuff was for my understanding for people. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like I said, the first part of academics when I did medicine was, of course, for me and to heal people in the allopathic matter. But then after that was more of understanding, learning a different process. So that's when I became a Reiki master, passive regression therapy. Then I did my doctorate in natural medicine. Then I did my PhD in integrative medicine. And that's more for my learning of connecting everything to my intuition. So I've learned quite a bit, being an integrative physician. Sure, I learned so many things like, Ayurveda. I've learned about different fields, aromatherapy. You have to be trained in all these things, biofeedback, all these things.
Yeah.
But my niche and what I'm calling was more of meditation and Reiki. And the reason for, to me, I feel, is to set people off on their journey. Because no matter what I do or you do or we do, we can only bring awareness, but only a person can really make that decision for their own healing and their own journey. So I always feel like it's like a flower that you open up and then you watch it just go. Like, it's kind of like that. And that's what I feel is my calling on, understanding healing. And that's why I said meditation. That's hands down. And then after that, go through your calling, and see what you're doing and where you're supposed to go,
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, magical. However, I want to think that this is not the magic, that this is the normal, the new normal, and we can make it happen.
Yes.
We can make it happen.
Yes, I agree. It's a new normal. It can heal so many. And, understand that ego is not important. Not at all. And being in love with yourself and loving the world. Isn't it nice to be just feeling love? Why wouldn't people see? I never understand this. And I always say that, wouldn't you just don't, that the whole feeling of love, right? It's such an empowering, love is such a powerful emotion, right? Such a powerful emotion. And you can just start right here and just feel that love, right? And you feel that love inside and you feel that love spread. Wouldn't you just want to be in that all the time? So how hard is that? Not really. If you love people in general around you because you know that you're all energetic connected. Yeah, there's people who are crazy. There's people who are negative. But, you just wish them well and who cares? Let them go on. You don't have them part of your life. You don't incorporate them. But, God be with them, Godspeed, But I love being in a sense of love. It's unfortunate in this world where people think love or kindness is weakness, right? I'm sure you're familiar with what I'm saying, right? If you're kind to somebody, they may think you're a pushover or you're weak or all sorts of different thinking. But, surprise, no, I'm not, either you or anybody else. We know boundaries. We know how to be confident in ourselves to give that love and being happy about it. Because it's a beautiful feeling. I love staying in love. And I'm not talking about romantic, just generally in people.
Yeah, however, Dr. Bindu, I think that the big step for many is to start by thinking, I do deserve love. Because many don't feel fundamentally that they deserve love. And everything around them, everything in their day is going to support that fundamental belief that they are not even aware that they have of, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve it. And it could be, rather than wake up and go for a walk first thing in the morning, is what do I have to do? Because it's everybody else first, because I don't deserve it. And then I
See,
can give others.
yeah, and I agree with you. And so there's a whole concept, right? A lot of people feel loved when they give something to somebody, right? Like, for example, if, you know, I serve coffee to, I don't know, my husband or my boyfriend or someone significant in the morning, like you make a cup of coffee, you give them, and they appreciate it, then all of a sudden you feel loved, right? So a lot of people feel that's the only way to feel loved, and it can go
Yeah,
into extreme of codependence. But if you understand that I don't need someone else to tell me love, but it's more about taking small steps of appreciating you, little steps,
mm,
then it becomes like a big snowball effect. And that's why you start with affirmations, and you start really acknowledging yourself. And this is more of a neurological study, but connecting the subconscious and the conscious together, right? It's looking in the
yeah,
mirror and saying, I love me for my compassion. I love me for the love I can give somebody else. I love me for my pop star hair. I love me for, who I am. I love me for because me, even with, I don't know, a few pounds extra. It's sitting there and saying those words to yourself in the mirror and believing it
yeah,
is when you start reprogramming yourself. Because now your conscious and your subconscious just connected. Our subconscious can't understand logic. It only understands what you see, feel, and hear. So it's important to start those things
yeah.
and feeling that love within and being in love, in that place of gratitude or in that place of peace or in that place of happiness. It's very, very powerful.
A very good friend of mine sent me a video last night. You know what it was?
Tell me.
The mirror exercise by Louis Hay. I watched it this very morning, and now, a few hours later, you're telling me about that.
Oh my gosh, Louis Hay is the manifesting beast. I love Louis Hay. She can manifest anything, anything, anywhere, in health, and she's just amazing. The pioneer of this, the understanding. People look at it as something silly, like why am I sitting there looking in the mirror and saying I love myself, right? Like, what? Where's that going to go? Um, why is it difficult then? Why do you feel it difficult to look at yourself in the mirror and saying that? Because your subconscious thinks different from your understanding what you think is logical. So it's connecting. It's a
Mm,
very profound process, you know? So when I do my coaching
yeah.
sessions, oh my God, it's a lot of homework of different ways of tools of trying to heal. A lot of understanding of meditation, a lot of understanding reprogramming, sinking it in, writing, because visual and all those things are so important neurologically as well. It's not just speaking of reprogramming.
Mm,
Sure, we speak this understanding, this clarity, but you must visualize and see, understand, write, read, because you need to connect the two. And it's when you connect the conscious
mm,
and the subconscious, it's at that juncture you do manifestation. And that's why it's important to kind of really understand the how words play such a strong impact on yourself and
mm.
others. And when you kind of come to that point, you start making those steps of love, you will feel like you're in that place of love and gratitude. That's a very high vibrancy, right? Like frequency is much more high.
Yeah,
You're vibrating in a very higher level. And whatever you vibrate is what you bring.
that's physics, pure physics,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
pure
Being a
physics.
scientist, you can understand that. So it's important, and I'm glad that you have that, and you're going to start. It's going to really, it's amazing.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful, Dr. Bindu. There are so many powerful lessons here for everybody. And coming from a scientist, from a doctor, from somebody with all the titles, so that your left brain is happy to
Yes.
hear all this information from this powerful and beautiful woman. You don't need it, but if you need it, it's there. It's there. When people want to contact you, Dr. Bindu, where do we send them to?
So they can go to my website, www.bindubabu.com. I'm going to spell it. It's B for boy, I, N, D for dog, U, B for boy again, A, B for boy, U.com. Or you can email me at drbindu@bindubabu.com. Google me. I'm on Instagram, Dr. Bindu Babu. I'm on Facebook, Dr. Bindu Babu. I'm Twitter, not as often. I wish I could be, but reach out. My book is there. I'm also a Global Goodwill Ambassador. We just released the free GGA program. I'm the instructor for narcissistic toxic relationships. So it's a free program.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so you learn a lot of awareness. I spent some time and I really am happy about that program. So, you can go on my website or you can go on the GGA website to get access to that program. It literally released 2 days ago. So I haven't even announced it.
Whoa.
Yeah, I didn't even put it on none of my social media or anything. It's just literally was 2 days ago. So that will help many of you who need to understand narcissism and, Godspeed ahead, for all of you. This is the way you can connect to me. If anything I can do to assist and help you, please do let me know.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bindu. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. My honor.